It takes smartness. So communication, we say what? Infidelity, that's an issue by itself that will deserve a different khutbah. Financial stress. That's usually, I find some issues with financial stress and things. And the stress could be by just someone, and I don't want to here point to the man and the woman, want to live at probably a higher level than the means allow for. And I've seen this. I've seen when someone just she wants to be like the others. She wants to drive the same level of cars. Well, it's great if it's not going to put a stress on the marriage, but if it is going to put that's haram. That's not the way it's supposed to be. That's not the way it's supposed to work. What else? At the same time, you're gonna have to give and take a little bit in here. What else? Abuse. Physical abuse. And by the way, it can come from both parties. And that is, for the man, I would tell him, when he raises a hand on a woman, I would say, have some dignity. Have some integrity. Have some honor. When you raise a hand in a woman, you're missing all of them. Yes, she made me angry as much as you want. Explode if you want to, but you never raise a hand on a woman. That is not the way it's supposed to be. No. Be sure to understand the ayat before you point to anything. What else? Sometimes they're not compatible. And one has to hand it. One has to give the keys. I found, in my experience, a lot of these things happen. To sum all of that up, the main way, the biggest way how it happens is that they start, he says something, and then divorce happens. And at the moment of heat, at the moment of anger, when that is never supposed to be the case. First of all, sister, when things get heat, take an exit. It's not a weakness, it's not that's the way it's supposed to be. And again, brother, when things heat, take an exit. Wallahi, nobody's gonna call you a chicken if you do that. They're gonna call you smart. Because when things heat up, the result usually is not a good one. Now, some say hadith, some say it's not hadith, some say it's not a hadith, it's the saying of a Sahabi, أبغض الحلال عند الله الطلاق. The most hated of the halal is divorce, but may not be a hadith, but it means something. The statement means something. Divorce is to be discouraged. But if it comes to that, and yes, it came to that sometimes, and it may not be the fault of either one of them. It may not be the fault of anyone. And like I said, the Sahaba divorced. The people of Jannah divorced. So it's not a huge deal, but it must be done in the proper process. What's the proper process? First of all, you think deeply and carefully about getting married. You think 10 times deeply and carefully about the decision of divorce. So it cannot be in the moment of the heat. It has to be a very well thought process. It has to be. Now remember, ya akhi, remember the hadith. When that thing starts going in your mind, or sister or daughter, when that thing starts going in your mind, remember there's a great hadith where it translates to Shaitan sits his throne on water, and then he sends his servants to try to do mischief out there. And then they come back. So you know what? I stayed after him until he killed him. Good job. And as well, I stayed after him until he had alcohol or something. good job. I said, until one of them comes. I stayed after him until I made him divorce his wife. He gets up from his chair, this is the king of the shayateen, and says, you are the one, you are the one. He's so proud of him. He's the one who made it happen. Because that's the happiest moment of the shaitan. Because the shaitan understands that that step is the destruction of the Muslim community. That step can be the beginning of the fall of the family, the unit, the solid unit of this ummah. So be very careful. The decision is not to be taken lightly. Now the Sharia gave us the process, step by step what to do. First one, communicate with each other. Discuss it. Look at the downfalls, look at the risks, look at the benefits of everybody involved. And if that's still not enough to solve it, al-mashura, you bring advice from family, friends, whatever, but be careful who you choose for that. Because sometimes intentional and unintentionally, if that's, make sure that that is going to come from people that have experience in life, people that have seen things go up and down. You know, the age, the gray hair, the whatever it is, where they can, reflect on history and experience. And actually in some, the Prophet ﷺ, and there's nothing wrong with going and consult somebody. The Prophet ﷺ consulted Zayd and consulted Ali in similar issues. It's not weakness. It doesn't say reflect bad on you. There's nothing wrong with it. Now, if that doesn't cut it, then our deen tells us, حَكَمٌ مِّنْ أَهْلِهِ وَحَكَمٌ مِّنْ أَهْلِهِ. She chooses one, he chooses one. They get together and they look into things. They take their time. They take the measure. They assess. They adjust. As a matter of fact, some of the ulama says, whatever those two hakam, two consulting party, whatever they decide, in some madahib, it's a must on you to obey it. But the idea is those smart individuals with experience, one representing your side, one representing your side, they come and with the best intentions, they go try to solve the issue. They try to resolve the issue. They try to simplify, try to guide, they try to advise. And if that doesn't cut it, and you still reach the point and the decision that divorce, it's a must, there are also steps for that. فإن عزم الطلاق, processes, the right way. يا أيها النبي إذا طلقتم النساء فطلقوهن لعدتهن وأحصوا العدة. The woman, or when you decide to divorce, there are rules. One, you don't divorce her when she is in her period, for instance. Because everybody knows the woman in her period time, she is under stress, psychological, and this and that. And things may come from her that she doesn't mean, that she may regret later. You don't divorce her in a tuhur, at a time, in a month, where there was marital relationship. You wait until she goes into the period, and then after that, she takes her shower, she cleans, and now you decide. But if you don't, if there is any relationship in that month, that's not. Now, if someone does it, the divorce is granted, but that's haram. He committed a haram thing. Now, this thing about divorce by 3, divorce 10 times, that's that's a haram. That's not the way it's supposed to be. If still you've decided after you've waited that this is the thing to do, one talaq. Just talaq, one. And then what happens? Take your stuff and leave? No. The Sharia, our deen tells us, she stays in the home to finish the iddah. The iddah is 3 haydat, 3 months in essence. She's staying at home under the same roof. In different bedrooms, but she stays in the home. And if it takes one moment of affection, one kiss, that's it. She's back to being your wife. Even if the 3 months go and the divorce is final, and she and you have reached some kind of agreement, our deen tells us that she should go back to you under a new aqd. And when one of the Sahaba refused, Quran came down. said فَلَا تَعْضُلُوهُنَّ أَنْ يَنْكِحْنَ أَزْوَاجَهُنَّ إِذَا تَرَاضَوْا بَيْنَهُم بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. So the point is, our deen wants the ummah, wants the family to stay together. Yes, sometimes things impossible, but even in that case, there is a process to it. You don't just, things happen under the heat, under the, without thinking about it. No, yeah, it happens. And divorce occurs. And then yak from this side and yak from that. That's haram. That's not our deen. One of the tabi'een is divorcing his wife. The man comes to him and says, why are you divorcing? I said, why am I going to tell you and reveal the secrets of my wife? Then after the divorce, he comes back, same mode. Why did you divorce? He says, why am I supposed to be talking about a woman I'm not related to me anymore? So the point is, sitr, be respectful. But there is one thing, ya akhi, not only the sitr and the tie being nice. Imagine our deen, how beautiful it is, by saying that when things, even you go and depart different ways, you are required to give her a gift. Give her a gift. على الموسع قدره وعلى المقتر قدره. In the departure gift you give her, to maintain the decency, to maintain the beauty in the relationship, even in worst case scenario. This is our deen. This is what we ought to behave. Alhamdulillah, out of His mercy, He's guided us. And even in those difficult situations, there are steps to follow. The bottom line is, divorce is not to be taken lightly. Divorce does not happen at the moment of heat and the argument. That's not the way it's supposed to be. Divorce is to be thought of thoroughly. Look at all of its aspects from all. And if it is a must, if it has to happen, there is decency in it. There is a process to it. أقول قولي هذا استغفر لكم فاستغفر المستغفرين. الحمد لله حمدا طيبا مباركا يليق بجلال وجهه وعظيم سلطانه وصلى اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Yes, sometimes, brothers and sisters, divorce is going to have to happen. And we're human. We go with the baggage of emotions. And that's a big no-no. Sister and brother, never, ever, ever use the children to try to get back at your spouse. Whatever it is that he did or she did, whatever it is that may have happened, the children's sanctity, the children's mental health has to be protected. Do not ever allow your emotions to draw you into using them, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us لا تضار والدة بولدها ولا مولود له بولده. That's a big haram. And for the brother or the sister, if it has to happen, Allah will find a way for you. Don't give up. Don't fear for what's the unknown, because the divorce is such an emotionally draining experience, and we figure out what's going to happen to me, what's going to happen. Don't worry about it. If you do the right thing, if you do the proper thing, Allah will find لك مخرجا. يجعل لك مخرجا ويرزقك من حيث لا تحتسب. If you look at those ayat, that ayah, it's actually in the contents of divorce. So Allah will find a way. All that you are supposed to do is be decent at it. Be decent at the process and don't take it lightly. أسأل الله العظيم رب العرش العظيم أن يهدينا وإياكم إلى صراط السلام. اللهم آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم ارحمنا واعف عنا وعافنا. اللهم انزل سكينتك وطمأنينتك على قلوبنا. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا عيبا إلا سترته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا دينا إلا قضيته ولا مريضا إلا شفيته ولا ميتا إلا رحمته ولا شهيدا إلا قبلته ولا حاجة لك فيها رضا ولنا فيها صلاح إلا قضيتها برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم رب الأرباب مسبب الأسباب مسخر السحاب هازم الأحزاب. اللهم من أراد بالإسلام خيرا فكن معه ووفقه وأيده وانصره، ومن أراد بالإسلام شرا فأرنا بهم عجائب قدرتك. اللهم إنهم أرونا بطشهم فأرنا فيهم بطشك، أرونا جبروتهم فأرنا فيهم جبروتك. اللهم لا تأخذك بهم شفقة ولا رحمة. وصل اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم